So I called this episode Plug the Leaks because I have a coach whose name is James Wedmore, who oftentimes uses the metaphor of business and saying that if your business has holes in it, holes in terms of things that you're just not taking care of or you're not paying attention to in the right way, that it's kind of treating your business and having your business run like a leaky bucket. And of course, none of us want to have that kind of thing for a business. And we wouldn't want that for our schedule. We wouldn't that for how we run our homes. We wouldn't want that for our families either. We wouldn't even want it just for a plain old bucket. So I thought I'd put together some material to help people, to help you reclaim any energy that you might be missing right now and that might be leaking out of your energy store or your energy bucket. And what I did a couple of days ago was on the fly, decided I was going to create a workshop about plugging these energy leaks. And lo and behold, more than 100 people registered for this idea and this live workshop. And the workshop was last night. And I'm very happy to be able to share some of the activity and the questions and the answers that happened last night at the live workshop. And I hope that you will pay close attention to this episode because I think you can get a lot out of just answering the questions that I shared with my attendees last night. The first question I asked was, what is your energy leak? Just plain and simple. Where do you think your energy is leaking from? What is it leaking because of? And I got a very wide and very interesting range of responses, as you can imagine. Some of the answers were things like not getting enough sleep, which you can imagine is a big energy loss leader. Or is that how you say it? It's a source of energy loss, I will say. And social media scrolling is yet another source of energy loss. Another person said they had too many responsibilities, and other people said things like they were overbooking, overscheduled. And some other people mentioned that they were caring too much about things. They were people pleasing or not having great boundaries with friends or relatives. So you can see this was a wide range of subject matter and topics. But when I asked the attendees, do you see the overlapping themes in the responses? Everyone said yes, because we're all human, because we all share these little buckets of energy that we have to pay attention to every day, every week, every part of our lives. And yes, some of these require a lot of energy, and some of these areas take a lot of energy from us. So that was just the setting the stage for the healing process and for the eye-opening process of just deciding I'm going to track where my energy is going and I'm going to care for it a little bit better just because I want to. The second question I asked everyone at the workshop was, what is blocking you from plugging that energy leak? And if I may say, so I think just that question itself is a little bit of a healing event because it basically gives people the sense that they have control over what is happening. So often, even with, let's say, social media scrolling, you kind of get carried away and you lose sight of the fact that you can stop scrolling anytime you want to. We oftentimes do. But then so often we let hours go by, maybe precious hours, when we could be doing something more fulfilling or more meaningful or more important. And we just let it go by because we've got this leak in our bucket. So I had attendees also respond in the chat. What were some of their ideas about what their resistance was to blocking or plugging up their own energy leaks? And those responses were interesting as well. Some of the answers were in the category of procrastination. I'm just delaying. It's an old habit. of mine. Some people said, I feel like I have a lack of time, or I'm really lacking energy. I don't have the motivation to do that. And then other people said things like, I feel so pulled in every direction and distracted that I don't really know what to do. So some confusion elements were in there as well. And again, attendees noted that there were overlapping themes, right? We're not, life is not that complicated where we have thousands of themes to go through every day. No, we're typically dealing with some confusion, some overwhelm, some energy loss. But if we can learn how to master that system of managing our clarity and our energy and our purpose, or where we're headed, our direction, the stuff that we want to get done in the course of a day, I think that is a fantastic idea to try and get to, a fantastic state of being. So the thing that I taught at this point in the workshop was that not only do we have control over when we stop and start behaviors and habits and actions, we also have now, because we're attending workshops and trying to get coaching and trying to look at how we're doing things in our lives, we also have the power to transform what is happening within ourselves. So often we're blaming our outside, our environment, or our circumstances, like how overbooked we are, for our problems, for our anxiety, for our sense of disappointment, maybe, or frustration with how things are going. When I believe we can have a shortcut when it comes to this analysis, and we can turn inward and look at what is happening inside of us. What I did with the attendees was I said, can you guess what are the reasons for your resistance? And they gave a lot of great reasons. But the one I was thinking was the central reason for all the issues was not mentioned. And so I did the big reveal and I said, you know what? It's not really procrastination, and it's not really Instagram, and it's not really the fact that you're overbooked. Really, what it comes down to is that you're not fully trusting yourself. So the issue that is causing all the energy leakage that we were discussing, all the different types across different people, was really self-trust. So again, I want you to note this for your notes. Self-trust is the basic reason why most of us, maybe all of us, have some form of leakage of energy. And I will go on to explain this. Think about it. When you don't fully trust yourself, then you're going to do things like procrastinate, hesitate, say yes to things that you don't really want to do, mess up boundaries with other people, give over your time to things like social media because you're going to be avoiding things that you might otherwise be doing. So it's actually that lack of trust in yourself that causes indecision, that causes feeling like you're just doing the same old thing with no better result, right? You're using the same habits and you're trying to solve the same problems day after day instead of actually finding effective solutions, the ones that will really work, the ones that might take a little more energy from you, but would actually plug that hole in your bucket. So think for yourself at this moment, dear listener of this podcast, where do you need some boosting or some firming up in your self-trust? Where do you need to trust yourself more? And the answer might just be your answer to question number one: where am I leaking my energy? You might just say, you know what? I need to trust myself more when it comes to getting enough sleep. I need to trust that I will survive without scrolling in the middle of the night. And I will trust that my problems will get solved in the morning instead of me staying up all night worrying about them all the time and having all my energy dribble away. So I feel fried when I wake up in the morning. We no longer want to feel fried in the morning. We want to feel calm, purposeful, like we have a full tank of energy, and that we trust ourselves. That is such an important piece of well-being. And then something beautiful happened in the session. Members started talking about the different scenarios and the different qualities of their particular relationship with self trust. And I think people are connected to the work that I do oftentimes because there is a piece of self trust that is missing, that is maybe there, but hasn't been able to be recognized or hasn't been given airtime. Sometimes people come from families where they aren't respected as autonomous beings, as independent voices, as people with ideas and opinions of their own. And then certainly there are other types of family circumstances and environments where anxiety is the name of the game. So forget self trust. You're feeling like you are working towards survival instead of really knowing yourself and really trusting your opinions and your actions and trusting that everything is going to work out. But that's the benefit of being in midlife and being a full grown adult, because you may come with wounds and with different background stories that you may want to forget or wish were a little bit different than the history has. But as an adult, you have this massive power now, this massive power of not only hindsight, but the power to rewrite and rewire how your body and mind work when it comes to new challenges, when it comes to responsibilities, when it comes to, am I going to scroll social media another half hour or am I going to stop now? You really have such a high level of control when you allow that control to be used, right? It's basically allowing ourselves to develop another skill that's really important. Self-trust is one skill. Another skill that is really important to control your energy and make sure you have enough energy across the day. And that is knowing how to abide by your commitments, knowing how to use your word to decide what you're going to do. And then you follow up with that. You actually commit to your word, you commit to the promise you make to yourself, and then you get that thing done. And you know what that is? That is an energy boost. So no longer are we talking about energy loss. We're talking about ways to actually make ourselves stronger, more vibrant, more joyful, more proud of ourselves, more accomplished, and filled with energy, filled with life energy, I would say, this zest for life, because we know that when we say something, we mean it. When we mean something, we do it. When we do something, we feel proud of ourselves. And the world is a better place because we've made good on our word and we've used our creativity in productive ways. And I think this is a really wonderful cycle of energy preservation and nurturing our energy instead of watching it dribble away into TikTok or Instagram. And I love both TikTok and Instagram. So no judgment there, but I would say use Instagram and TikTok for pleasure and joy, not for escaping the fact and the reality that your energy is going out the window. That's my wish for everyone listening. And I hope when you spend time listening to things like this podcast and when you go seek other good input in your life, that it feeds you, that it reminds you that you are so wonderful, so magical, so powerful, and that really all time is precious. So whatever time you can grab for something good for yourself, go grab that time. Don't let that energy leak out because you don't need to do that anymore. So now we're at the point in this episode where I will ask you to just take a few minutes, maybe now, maybe later in the day today, if you're at work or busy with family or whatever else you're doing, sometime before the night is over, please do sit with these questions and work something through for yourself. Make a decision to pay some attention to where your energy is going and make some adult decisions that aren't painful, but may require some shifts in energy within you. If you believe in yourself at a deeper level, you're going to be capable of much, much more. So, yes, it's going to require some work, but then you're going to get such payback. It's going to be beautiful payback. It's going to be payouts where you're going to feel like, wow, I understand myself a whole lot better. I understand how my childhood might have been not optimal, but now I get to use those lessons and that reality to create new lessons for myself and a better reality. I wish that for all of you listening, and I wish that for myself as well. As you know, I'm a self improvement and life improvement junkie. So let's do this. So, some final thoughts. I just know that my own reflections after running the workshop yesterday was that everyone already knows what's up, right? You don't have to tell people what they're struggling with. They know. People know. You know. And what I'm here to do is just to remind you that you also have access to solutions. There really, I think, is no such thing as a dead end when it comes to self improvement. There are always angles, there are always coaches, there are always podcast episodes. There's always another day for you to try something differently. And there's always a new identity that you can step into. You're already that person who has all the things that you know you want. It's just right there. It's just a couple steps away, I promise. So if you'd like a worksheet to go and do some of this reflective work with, you can get the Plug the Leaks worksheet that I made for the workshop for yourself by going to maketimeforsuccesspodcast.com/leaks. That's LEAKS. Again, that's maketimeforsuccesspodcast.com/leaks. And then I want to also invite you to my upcoming 5-day challenge called Re-Energize Your Home. And that will be starting Monday, March 3rd. And we'll be spending 5 days together live, getting the energy blocks out of your home. And that energy block is in the form of physical clutter. We're going to get rid of some of that clutter, maybe all of the clutter for those of you who are really energized. And I invite you to join me for that free event by going to procrastinationcoach.com/spring2025. Again, procrastinationcoach.com/spring2025 to register and get all the details about how to join the challenge. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope it does you a world of good. I'll see you next week. Bye.